Chapter 1. A Terrible Secret. School was finished, and Mark had 4 cigarettes in his pocket. Other boys drank beer, and some tried drugs, but Mark just liked cigarettes. Now his little brother Ricky wanted his first smoke, and Mark felt terrible. The boys walked down a narrow path into the trees behind their home. Home was a trailer in a trailer park in Memphis, Tennessee. Mom wasn't back from work yet. Dad wasn't there either. Mom left him 5 years ago because he was always drunk and often violent. Now Mark seemed like Ricky's father, an 11-year-old father. He taught Ricky to play football, to ride a bike, and everything he knew about sex, but he didn't want to teach him to smoke. "Sit there," said Mark when they reached his secret hiding place, "and let's hear the rules again." Ricky knew them both. "If I tell anyone, you'll hit me." "That's right." "And I can smoke only 1 a day." "That's right. If I catch you smoking more, or if you start drinking beer, you'll hit me harder." "Right," said Mark. "Now, watch me. It's really easy." Ricky was soon busy blowing smoke like a man. Mark sat next to him and lit another cigarette. "I was 9 when I started," he said. "You're only 8. You're too young." Ricky didn't answer. He was listening to something. Then Mark heard it too, and they stopped smoking. "Just sit still," Mark said softly. Through the trees, they could see an old road which nobody used anymore. A long black car appeared on the road and came slowly across the rough ground. It made a circle, then stopped. Soon the engine stopped too. Hidden in the long grass behind the car, the boys watched the car. After a few minutes, a fat man got out. "What's he doing?" Ricky whispered. The man had a rubber tube. He put one end into the tailpipe of the car, and the other end through a window. He got into the car, closed the window as tight as he could, and started the engine again. "He's trying to kill himself," said Mark. "I saw a man do it like this in a film once." "How long does it take?" "Not very long," said Mark, "but I'm going to stop him." Mark crawled to the car, pulled away the tube, and crawled back. "Quick, let's get out of here," said Ricky. Suddenly the man got out of the car again. He had a bottle of whiskey and a gun, and he was crying. "Let's get out of here," said Ricky again, urgently. Mark watched quietly. The man looked at the tube. He looked around. Then he put the tube back into the tailpipe. He got back into the car with his whiskey. "Mark, please, let's go," said Ricky, and began to cry. "I'll try one more time," said Mark. Ricky watched his brother crawl forward again, and then the man saw Mark. He fell out of the car and grabbed him. "You little—" he shouted as he hit Mark. "Get into the car!" Ricky, in shock and fear, wet himself. The man pushed Mark into the car and hit him again. Then he laughed. "My name's Jerome Clifford. Romy to my friends. What's yours?" "Mark," said Mark. Romy laughed. "Here," he said. "Take the whiskey, son. Let's die together." Mark took the bottle and pretended to drink. He smelled gas. He looked at the gun on the seat. "We'll be dead in 5 minutes," said the man. Mark looked in the mirror and saw Ricky crawling towards the back of the car. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "Give me the whiskey," said the man. Mark looked at the man. If he gets drunk, he might go to sleep, he thought. He passed the whiskey. "It's because of the body," said the man. "It's at my house. I'm a lawyer. My client killed a senator. The FBI is looking everywhere for his body, and my client hid it in my garage. Can you believe it? Right there, under my boat." Mark smelled the air again. No gas now, thanks to Ricky. "Who's your client, Romy?" he asked. "Bury the blade," said Romy. "He's a member of the Mafia in New Orleans. Now he wants to kill me because I know about the body. But he can't, because the gas will kill us first." He laughed and drank more whiskey. Soon he was drunk and asleep. Mark gently opened the car door and ran to where Ricky was hiding. "I pulled the tube out," said Ricky in a high voice. Mark lit a cigarette and watched the car. Suddenly, the door fell open, and the lawyer came out with the gun in his hand. He saw the tube and started screaming. His wild red eyes looked round for Mark, but Mark was well hidden in the long grass. Then he stood still, put the gun in his mouth, closed his eyes, and fired. Ricky made a low noise, like an animal in pain, and ran. Mark looked at the dead man and thought, "Here's trouble." He followed Ricky home. When he got there, he called 911 for the police. He knew that every 911 call was recorded. "There's a body on the old road behind Tucker Trailer Park on Highway 17, he said. "We need your name, son." Mark said nothing and put the phone down. Chapter 2. In Trouble with the Cops. Ricky was sick. He seemed to be crying, but there were no tears. His skin was cold and wet. His thumb was in his mouth. His eyes were open and his body was shaking. Mark was worried. He remembered a television program about some kids who saw a horrible accident. After that, their thumbs were in their mouths, like babies, for a year. "Mark," said his mother, "how did you cut your face?" Mark didn't want to lie to his mother, but he didn't want to tell her about the man with the gun either. "It's a long story, Mom," he said. Diane sighed and bit her nails. They were sitting in a small room in St. Peter's Hospital. She lit a cigarette and watched her younger son. When she got home from work and saw Ricky, she had called the family doctor. He had called an ambulance immediately. Now they were waiting for a hospital doctor to look at Ricky. It was past supper time, and Mark was restless. He opened the door. "I'll go and get us a hamburger, Mom," he said. Mark stepped outside the room, and a hand grabbed him. He looked up into the face of a cop. "Mark Sway?" asked the cop. Mark nodded. "We've found the body," said the cop. "What body?" said Mark. Come on, Mark. We know you live in Tucker Trailer Park. You made the call, didn't you? Mark wanted to lie, but he said, Yes, sir. Well, Mark, let's go and get those hamburgers, said the cop, and he took Mark down to the hospital cafe. How did you find the body, Mark? My brother and I were playing in the trees. Did you take any drugs? No, sir. But you were smoking, said the cop. We found your dead cigarettes. Stay away from drugs, son. Yes, sir. Did you see the man before he shot himself? No, sir. So you just found him dead. Have you ever seen a dead body before? Only on TV. The cop smiled. Kids saw everything on television these days. What happened to your face? He asked. I got in a fight at school. The other kid started it. The other kid always does. What's his name? You don't know him, said Mark. Well, I might want to talk to him, said the cop. Now tell me, why didn't you give your name to 911? I don't know. Come on, Mark. You must know why. I don't know. Afraid, I guess. Mark tried to look very young and innocent. Do you think I'm lying? I don't know, kid. Your story is full of holes, said the cop. I think you were there, smoking, in the trees, and I think you saw the whole thing. That's why your brother's in shock, isn't it? That's why you're afraid. Mark's heart stopped, and his blood ran cold. He tried to seem calm. His hands were shaking, so he sat on them. Things were happening too fast. Could he go to prison? Could Ricky go mad? He needed time to think. Eat your food now, said the cop. We'd better get back to your mom. You can bring your Coke with you.